Hello and welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins. Happy Friday Eve to everybody. Very slam-packed show today. We're going to be getting into it with the Bluffton, South Carolina's head coach, who will be in the Corky Kell 7-on-7 this summer. Get into it with him about his team, their season last year, and learn a little bit more about them. And then we'll get into it with Holco, Houston County's baseball coach, one of the best teams in Georgia. And then we get into it with also a tell of the tape. And then we'll be concluding the show with my top 10 headlines for the weekend, and a little bit about spring sports around Georgia. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it with head coach Hayden Gregory.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, coach, what's going on? Thank you so much for doing the interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, coach, I want to talk a little bit about last season. That's where I want to start. You guys had your best season since 2018, 2019. You guys made it to the second round. Just how do you feel about the season? How would you rate it as a whole?
Yeah, so last year was my first year at Bluffton. Before that, I was an assistant at Collinsville for 5 years, and I was on the state championship team in 2021. So when I came over here, I knew that it was going to be a rebuilding process, but I was very glad to see big steps we took. The school hadn't won a playoff game in 5 years, so we went to the second round of playoffs and we lost to the state champions. And we had, honestly could have had a better record than we had, and if it wasn't for a few injuries. So I was very happy with last season, but we're just looking to keep taking bigger steps forward.
Certainly, coach. And then, just tell me from last season, obviously going into this year, who are some of your returning starters, and who are some of the new guys you're expecting to kind of step up? And, overall, how has your off-season program been?
Off season's been really good right now. One of our biggest guys coming back is a kid named Jeremiah Curry, who's a linebacker for us and will also play a little bit of running back. He has offers right now to West Virginia, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Coastal Carolina, and a few other schools. He's a great kid, and he's a really, really good football player. His first team All-State last year. And then we have one of our leading receivers coming back, a kid named Brandon Bryant, who caught for 700 yards last year. And then we got a quarterback that's going to be coming in whose name is Owen Bays. He's a kid that's a little under the radar, but he's going to really blow up for his senior year. I think he's going to have a really, really good year. He's 6'3" and he runs a 4.740, and he's a really, really good kid. So I'm really excited about him.
Yes, sir. And then let's talk a little bit, too, about the Corky Kell Classic. How did you kind of get wind of the event, coach? And then, how did it go down the process with, negotiations and coming to the event? And then, how excited are you to compete with some of the best in the state of Georgia?
Yeah, very excited. So when I was at Collinsville, we participated in the Corky Kell every year, and so wanted to give our kids to compete against the best opponents possible. And I know that Georgia high school football is the best in the country, in my opinion. So I contacted a coach at Georgia Tech about getting into their 7-on-7 tournament, and he informed me that they were pairing up with Corky Kell this year. So I was like, yeah, let's go. I want to get in on it. We love to throw the football, so we want to do as many 7-on-7 tournaments as we can. Last season, going into my first year at Bluffton, we went to 7-on-7 tournament at Collins Hill and also the Hoover National Tournament, and we did really good at those. And I think it really propelled us to a good year in which we led the state of South Carolina in passing. So we can throw the football with anybody, and we're going to be excited to be in the event.
Yes, sir. I can't wait to see you guys play. And do you have an idea of right now of who are some guys you're going to bring, roughly, how many guys you want to bring with you? Or you're going to kind of, obviously wait some and then kind of see how the spring goes and things like that?
We have a lot of returning starters from last year. So we'll bring, like, I have a pretty good idea. We're probably going to bring 20 to 25 guys. And honestly, we have like 5 spots open of who we could bring. So it depends on who has a really good spring. Whatever kids come out and do really, really good for us, those will be the guys that we'll bring.
Gotcha, coach. And speaking of spring, are you guys going to play a team this year? And if you are, what's the matchup going to be? And then just tell me a little bit, how does your spring schedule kind of look?
Yeah, so in South Carolina, we can't play another team. That's kind of a crappy rule.
Wow.
Just a small reason why Georgia. yeah, it's one of many reasons why Georgia high school football is better. Just stating facts, but um,
Right.
we will have a spring game against ourselves, kind of like a college team will do it. We get a full spring practice schedule with 20 days that we can go against each other. So that's fun. It doesn't have like a black and white game at the end of spring.
Wow. Okay. Got you, Coach. No, I did not know that. You definitely informed me of something new with that. But I'm sure that'll be good. You can kind of go against each other and see, where you're at. But Coach, last year you played two teams as well. I know you said it was your first year there. You guys played Beach and Jenkins, two out-of-state schools. Will we see the same this season? Kind of how does your regular season schedule kind of shape up this year?
Yeah, it's same schedule as last year. We're just flipped home and away. I really wanted to try to play as many Georgia schools as we could in the non-region. So Beach was a good home opener for us, and we hope that'll be our opening game this year. We hope to take care of business in that one. And then Jenkins is a game that we need to get revenge in from last year. We lost that game at the last second. I know it says that we lost by 2 scores, but that's because we tried to lateral the ball over the place at the end, and they ended up recovering a fumble to get a touchdown. But they scored the go-ahead touchdown with 20 seconds left in that game, so that one hurt. And we really need to try to get some good payback in that one.
Yes, sir. Certainly. No, those are some good games, and excited to see you guys match up again this season. I'm not gonna lie to you, I always love out of state matchups and just pairing in with whatever state, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Texas. It's always a lot of fun. So good luck with that, Coach, especially this year. But just transition to your defense, Coach. How does that look this year? Far as how many returning starters you're gonna have there, or who are some new guys you expect to step up on the defensive side of the ball this season?
On defense, I think we have 8 guys returning or played significant playing time. Um, Defense was hard for us last year. We kind of took a while to find our identity, but now that we found it, we're going to be in pretty good shape. So a couple of key guys returning are Jeremiah Curry, who I talked about earlier, a kid named Wyatt Tant, who's a 6'2" linebacker. He's really, really good. We had a sophomore start for us last year, whose name is Josh Bond. He's another linebacker that's going to be a really good player for us. We have a defensive lineman named Devin Grant, who's 6'4", basketball player. He's a very athletic kid, also very, very tough. And then most of our secondary is returning. So last year we struggled a little bit in the secondary, but all those guys are coming back. A lot of them started as sophomores. So I'm really excited to see those guys as juniors and seniors really step up and play a big role for us.
Certainly. Well, Coach, I know you don't have too much time to do 2 more questions, and I'm gonna let you go. So, one, I want to go back to the offense, Coach. And you said you had the best passing team basically in the state of South Carolina. You run an air raid attack. So, what
Yeah.
allows it to be so good for one, and then two, do you run a lot of different concepts? Is it a lot of preparation? Do you have your quarterbacks work with your receivers throughout the year, even in the off season? What are some things that just allow you to be so good with the passing attack?
Yeah, so to talk about that, I got to kind of go back to Collins Hill because in 2019, this was Sam Horn and Travis Hunter's sophomore year. Okay, so we were 6-5. We weren't as good as we should have been, and a big reason why we struggled is we didn't have that elite of an offensive line. We didn't have Power 5 guys up front that we could really rely on. Even though we had Sam and Travis as quarterback and receiver, and we had other really good skill players, it didn't really matter. And we tried to force a run too much, and that really hurt us. So in that offseason, me and our offense coordinator, Dante Williams, we kind of sat down and we looked at like who we were as an offense, and we decided that we wanted to try to go to an air raid attack. And so ever since then, that year would have been 2020 and then 2021. And then last year, the offense I've been a part of has led the state in passing. In 2020 at Collins Hill, we threw for 4,000 yards. In 2021 at Collins Hill, we threw for 4,000. And then this year at Bluffton, we threw for over 3,000, but we only played 12 games. So if we would have played 15, we would have been on pace for 4,000 again. So the way that we
Wow.
go about it is really simplify it down. We don't try to make it too complicated at all. And then we just make it a big emphasis for us in practice. Like, we just practice it a ton, and we don't have a lot of concepts. We really simple it down to the easiest way we can. We use a lot of different formations and motions and things like that, but At the end of the day, if you have a billion different pass concepts in and you're having your quarterback read an entire field, number one, he's not going to get the ball out quick enough. Number two, he's going to make mistakes. You're going to throw interceptions. You're going to do a lot of things wrong. So for us, a lot of things, like, it'll seem like it's really complicated, but it's quarterback catches the ball and he throws it immediately. So it limits the sacks for us. It lets us get the ball out quick, and it lets us play a lot better, even though we don't have offensive linemen that are 6'4", 300 pounds. So that's
Wow.
why we use that. If I had offensive linemen that looked like, offensive linemen that went to Notre Dame or offensive linemen that Mill Creek had, I wouldn't do that. But
Right.
I don't have those guys, so we have to use the hand we're dealt. And it just so happened that our talent was very similar at Bluffton that it was at Collins Hill. So that's why we use that.
Interesting. I really like how you broke that down, Coach, and just, obviously simplifying it for your quarterback. Sometimes, as you mentioned, you'll see very complicated systems, and the quarterback will make a lot of mistakes. But I like just seeing you kind of talk about it. Definitely looks like it'll make it easier for the quarterbacks that come through that program at Bluffton. Just breaking it down, making sure they understand the reads, getting out of their hands quick. I mean, I love how you just broke that down. That made a lot of sense. But last question, Coach, just what are some things you're going to outline with your program going into the spring and the offseason? Some things you want to accomplish going into next season?
Yeah, a big thing that we got to do is we got to get tougher. We got to get a lot tougher. We had a lot of games last year where we were in the game at halftime and our kids kind of got wore out and they just, I don't want to say they gave up, but they didn't show elite effort for the entire game. And I think that's physical toughness and mental toughness. And that'll just come with time. So we got to learn how to be competitively tough. We have to learn how to be physically tough. We have to learn how to be mentally tough. If we can do those three things, we can compete against anybody. It's just a matter of our kids really buying into that and just letting it go and playing like your hair is on fire. So we're going to be doing a lot of competitive stuff in spring to get those guys ready for that.
Certainly, Coach. Well, I have my eyes on you guys this season. Definitely looking forward to seeing you guys. I will be there in present at the Corky Kell 7-on-7 to learn a little bit more about your group. But thanks again, Coach, for joining the show. Good luck with the fundraiser, and hopefully I can have you on again before the season starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, guys. So that was head coach for Bluffton, South Carolina. They will be at the Corky Kell 7-on-7 tournament this season. I don't know exactly who they play yet. I'll obviously learn more of the details of that pretty soon here. But definitely wanted to bring him on, see how they were able to get into the Corky Kell, and he's able to explain it. And like I said, last year they had a really good season. They had their deepest run since 2018, 2019, and they unfortunately lost to Dutch Fork, but Dutch Fork is a different breed right now. I mean, they just won another state title. They're 14-1 out there in South Carolina. They are the team to beat out there, so they're really, really good. And I think this year they're going to play Colquitt, I believe. So curious to see how they're going to perform and how good they're going to be next year. But we'll get to see them firsthand at the Corky Kell, so stay tuned for that. Um, and for them. And again, I liked how he really broke down how he tries to simplify the offense, especially for his quarterback. So there's a couple players he talked about, keep an eye on. So definitely going to look out for them this season. But let's go ahead and get into a quick tell the tape breakdown before we bring on our next guest. Got a couple minutes here, so I'm going to break down John Quavis Rusell, plays for Baldwin. Going to break down his tell the tape really quick and get my analysis on it. All right, guys. So here he is. Sophomore last season. He's going to be a junior this season. He does play a little bit of offensive, I think, tackle as well. But I really enjoyed how he plays on the defensive side of the ball. He wraps up very good, and he's really hits with force. I mean, I really enjoyed, looking at his tape. But let's look here. All right, so here's a punt. It's probably going to be a little hard to see because I'm at the bottom of the screen. But look at it. Look at this hit. I mean, brute force, hits him real hard, attacks the football. Here you go again. Boom. Just good wrap-up job, a good hit. Running back can't get anywhere after that. Here you go again. Going to come off. Relentless pursuit. Get him in the backfield. Boom. Look at that. Forces an errant throw from the quarterback. Makes it difficult. Here, this is a heck of a hit, man. I actually replayed it. I mean, this is a quarterback, so he makes one defender miss right here, but look at this hit that he hits right here. Boom! Right down, brute force. Great play there from Rusell. Here again, just behind the play, but he's going to run him down and get the fumble, recover it for his team. Just good hustle. A lot of times you see defensive linemen will give up on the play. He doesn't. He continues to pursue. Same thing here. This is a great job. Sometimes you'll see guys, they'll go for the big hit and won't wrap up, but he does a great job of wrapping up. So here again, punt return. He's going to see it. Boom. Good hit, good wrap up. Don't allow the punt return to get any extra yards here. Good. It's good pursuit. Behind the play again. Relentless pursuit. Gets the tackle. Here again, gets off the block. Boom. Tackles him in the backfield. Negative loss. Here again, blocked up pretty good, but able to shed it. Get the running back in the backfield. Another great play to be able to shed the block from the offensive tackle. Same thing here. So get off the block again. Get the running back. Stay pursuing. Allow a minimal gain. Same thing here. Boom. Gets off the block. Pursuing the quarterback. He fumbles the ball. Here comes the big hit. Boom. There it is. And then it's a scramble towards the end. All right, here you go again. Same thing. Shed the block. Boom. Nice spin move. Get the running back in the backfield. All right, here he comes again. Boom. Look at this pursuit. Boom. There he goes. Minimal gain again. So that's his tape. Enjoyed it. What I could say is that he has really good pursuit. A lot of times, like I said, you'll see sometimes defensive linemen give up on the play if they're behind it, but he doesn't do that. Continues to pursue the running back or the skill player or the playmaker and gets the tackle. And he has some really big hits. He hits with brute force. Great tackler. Probably the only thing I would say is just continue to work on his shedding. That's it. Continue to shed blocks and be able to get off blocks using his interior force and his kind of core strength. He can do that. He'll be just fine. I think he's in store for a great, marvelous junior season. But that is his tape. But actually, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to welcome on our second guest on the other side. Thank our sponsor, Georgia Farm Bureau.
Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are our Farm Bureau.
All right, guys, I'm excited to talk to the head coach of Houston County Baseball, Matt Hopkins. They've been having a terrific season. They just won their region title. They have been performing marvelously. They are ranked by most national rankings, state rankings, I would say, as a top team in the state. So without further ado, let's go to get into it with the coach.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, Coach, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. Just a little bit of a rainy afternoon, but other than that, doing really well.
Good, Coach. I appreciate you taking the time, too. I know it was a little bit last minute. I hit you up today, but I appreciate you responding and being able to come on the show.
No problem.
Yes, sir. So we'll get right into it. So you've been coaching for Houston County for over a decade now. Just what's been some of the most rewarding, things over the years, and what have you just enjoyed most about coaching there?
Yeah, this is my 15th year at Houston County. It's my 5th as the head coach. But, just coming out of college, starting here, and just seeing this program grow from when I arrived. We first got here I think we were winning 8 games a year. Had a lot of culture things and different things we had to fix to get forward and get the program in the right direction. And Coach Jason Brett did a really good job of getting us going. And luckily I was handed the keys to a really nice car. So,
Yes, sir. And this year, Coach, right, you returned 5 seniors, 10 were returning starters essentially. Just how has that experience kind of played into the season you're having this year?
well, yeah, it's been huge. Last year we talked about it was kind of a rebuilding year. We didn't really want to say rebuilding. We talked about holding the bar where it was and raising it higher if we could. But we had a lot of inexperience after graduating 10 seniors off that state championship team in 21, and had a lot of guys get experience last year. And honestly, we overachieved from what we were kind of looking at. And the goal every year is to win our county and win region, and then compete for a state championship. And that team gave us a shot, but. The big games, the big moments has paid off huge this year to allow us to be as successful as we have been.
Definitely. And then a lot of times too, Coach, you'll see sometimes the talent won't necessarily translate. You got a really talented group, very deep. and depth and everything like that. So just what's allowed that also to just kind of translate? Because sometimes you'll see they have the talent, but not necessarily translate to the field or onto the mound.
The big thing we've talked about this year is legacy, all the hard work we've put in to get to where we are and the guys that have come before them. And, the good thing that's happened for our program the last few years is we've just really developed a good work ethic in our upper class, taking younger guys, working with them, making sure that they're not complacent, and just being committed to what we're trying to do here, and really buying into, what our program and our process is. And our seniors have done a great job of keeping everybody accountable and working extremely hard to be better than we ever have.
Certainly, Coach. And I want to talk about your schedule this season. Before I get into the region play, I want to talk about the out-of-state schedule. This year, I mean, you've played North Broadwood Prep from Florida, IMG Academy, Haggerty from Florida as well, Calvary Christian, and more. So what do you think your group learned from kind of that tough stretch throughout the season and playing some of these better teams in the country?
Well, we always talk about forcing failure. I feel like, it's not throwing a shot at a lot of people, but a lot of people are really concerned with their records. They want that record to look good at the end of the year. And, our guys in our program, our goal is to win a ring. We tell our guys all the time, I've never seen a team wear a record around on their finger, but I've seen them put a record on a ring. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to find out what we need to fix. And when you play teams that are as good as you or they're better than you, they're going to expose flaws. And I feel like we've corrected a lot of problems that we had just because we were challenged. And it allows you to grow up. And when we've played those teams like you just listed, those nationally ranked programs from different states, they show you different types of ball. We played Jay Sarah out of California, and they were bunting, running, the most small ball I've seen in years, and it just really exposed some stuff that got us to work, and kind of work our kids up. And when you get to the playoffs, nobody's going to be able to show us anything that we haven't seen before. So being prepared for that allows us not to be shell-shocked when that moment comes, and hopefully we can rise to the occasion.
Yes, sir. Certainly. And I want to talk really quick about playing Jacera, as you mentioned, the kind of playing the small ball. You don't see a lot of baseball anymore. But how cool was it, Coach, to play in that tournament? It was a National High School Invitational.
Oh, yeah.
You was able to play at Team USA baseball facility. Just how cool of an experience that was, you think, for you, Coach, and even for the players?
It's a bucket list event. If you're able to go, that's what every coach I talked to told me is they said, if you get a chance, you have to go. No matter what it takes, get there. And first off, first-class facilities, first-class event, everything that they did was just top-notch. The teams there, you've got multiple California, you've got Bishop Gorman out of Nevada, you've got the Florida teams, you've got teams from all over the place, and it's just seeing so much good baseball and being at such a quality venue is massive.
Definitely. And Coach, let's go to region play really quick. You had a big series. Obviously, you just clinched the region title against Lee County, but before that, you're playing Tift County. They've been, kind of revered as one of the top teams in the state as well. Just, you swept that series, but just, what do you remember from that series against them? What were some things they did well, and, how was your team able to be so focused and locked in and kind of come away with that sweep?
Well, one thing I'll say is that team's very hungry. That Tift County team played with a lot of pride, a lot of passion. They've done a really good job of getting that team motivated and prepared. Very well-coached team. And one of the crazy things about that team, they don't have a single senior on the roster. Every kid on that program is an underclassman. And, they really, you could tell they were passionate. They wanted it. And our guys were resilient. They did a good job of, battling through some situations. And like I said, there were a lot of moments that I felt like they wanted it more than we did. And we were able to just kind of keep it together and recover.
Yes, sir. And then, Coach, you did something it's very difficult to do. You swept your region. How cool was it, obviously, last night or, a night ago when Vic Gain, he hit that kind of that walk-off homer. Just how cool of that moment was that just kind of put the bow on kind of that region title?
Well, and it was just, anytime you can go undefeated, it's really hard to beat a team twice, let alone three times. We had a very similar situation happen last year. We were able to go undefeated last year as well, and we had to come back just like we did last night. Game 3, you're kind of tired. It's easy to kind of settle in. You want to just accept the fact you've won the region. It's been such a long season, and we got down early. Had some things going against us, and then you could kind of feel the energy gradually building as the game went on, and then we started chipping away. And I think it goes back to what you talked about with us going to those out-of-state tournaments and different things. We're just, at this point, you're battle tested to the point that you know that you can come back. You know that you're good enough, you can battle. And, once we tied it up, I felt really good, especially, going into extras. And, we have those sophomores at the back of our lineup that have been doing really well. And like you mentioned, Vic Gann comes up, chance to win the ball game. He doesn't panic. He just shoots the line drive through the middle, and we go home.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's huge, especially you have underclassmen stepping up. And as you mentioned,
Yep.
something I've seen throughout high school sports. I've interviewed a lot of coaches this year. I mean, just in any sport, football, basketball, and it's just something that stands out. Is just that out of state schedule, just playing those tough opponents, learning about your team, getting better and better, and then working on those weaknesses. Something that's just been stood out to me this whole time. But let's talk more about your team, coach. Let's talk about Drew Burris. He's a Georgia Tech commit, 22 All-American. How is his play? How would you rate his play this season? And just what makes him so great?
The first thing that makes him great is he's a great kid, and he works really hard. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever coached by far. I talked to, anybody that's kind of talked about it. One thing I've always used an example, too, is in the fall, he identified kids that, he knew were going to have to step up that were underclassmen. He took those kids, worked out with them, hit with them, and helped them and tried to bring them along because he knew that in order for us to do what we're trying to do this spring, we were going to need them. So showing that leadership, you were asking how do we do that? That's the key is, our seniors take, we really promote being a servant leader, and, even after the game, he's picking up trash, he's helping do little things. And, but besides that, he can hit a ball 500 feet, so, he can really hit the baseball and, he's a physical freak of nature, able to throw the ball 99 from the outfield and able to hit a ball, as far as you want to. And even he would say, up to his standards, it's not quite the year he had last year, but last year's, he hit 17 bombs and 73 RBIs, and he's been pitched a little differently and, obviously for good reason. And, he's still got 8 home runs and I'm not real sure where he's at on RBIs right now, but, he's having a good season. And I think the best part of his year is ahead of him. And I'm definitely hoping it is because we're about to head into the playoffs. So.
Yes, sir. And real quick, just to expound on that, just how would you rate overall the offense that has been for Hoko this season? Just the batting, all your players just stepping up cohesively as a unit. Just how good has the batting been this year for Hoko?
We haven't had a series yet, except for maybe in the middle of the year we kind of clicked as a whole unit. We went 1 through 9 and we're really swinging it. And, the numbers we put up, I think we won 37-1 that week. And, what you're seeing now is we're seeing certain groups take over at certain times. The back end of our rating runs when the top's not. And, you're having guys, but we have not hit that. We're averaging about 10 runs a game, and I still don't feel like we have offensively peaked. We've got a lot of talent that's either upperclassmen or underclassmen, and it's just a very deep lineup. And I'm excited to see what it could turn into if we just get in that rhythm.
No, I mean, I think that's a good thing. If you haven't hit your peak yet, I mean, you definitely don't want to peak yet. You definitely want to peak come playoff time. So, I mean, that's a good thing. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be watching for that. But how would you rate your ace this season? Andrew Dunford, I know he's committed to Mercer. Just how good of a season he's had.
Yeah, he's been big both ways. He's batting over 520 something right now, leading us offensively. He's been just in the middle, just been absolutely huge for us. More ways than one. I mean, he's 6'7", 235. But on the mound, he's been up to 96 this year and 92 to 95, and just having that physical presence and that senior leadership has been massive. And besides even him, we've had 2 other guys that I would consider aces. We've got 3 number ones, and Riker Chavis is going to Georgia, left-handed pitcher. Right now he's got a sub-1 ERA, and it's just absolutely been dominant for us on the mound and done exactly what we needed between those 2 guys. And then the other left-hander is a junior, Carson Small. He was actually Region Pitcher of the Year last year, and he's done a great job for us being able to be that third starter. And it gives us 3 legit guys. And anytime you can have 3 starters, you're in good shape. So,
no, certainly. I'm glad you kind of transitioned me to my next question was to ask about what you thought about the pitching overall. But you answered some of that. But how would you rate some of the other guys that's had to step up? Obviously, the 3 guys, your starters, have played really good. Obviously, Andrew Dunford, Riker Chavis, and Carson Small. But how has Brooks Willis been and Landon Tankersley performed this season for you?
Well, I think Brooks will be the first to tell you that he's been, kind of disappointed with his performance this year. It's not up to his expectation. He's been kind of off and on. And with me saying that, though, last night, that game 3 that you're talking about, we didn't start him. We brought him in after the second. We were down 5-1, I think, and he came in and threw 4 shutout innings and was absolutely lights out. Last night's the best I've seen him all year, which is really good for us going forward. The IMG game, he had a little bit of control issues, but it was 2-1 in the bottom of the 4th with him pitching. He did a good job of holding that lineup down, and his best baseball is definitely ahead of him. And it's been one of those where we haven't had to force him into it because we've got so many good arms at the top as well. Landon Tankersley again has been exactly what he was last year. As soon as we need a leverage guy to come in after one of our starters to bridge us an inning or 2 innings, he's able to come in. He throws strikes. He competes in the zone, and he's just been solid for us.
Certainly, Coach. And with the regular season coming to a close, only 1 game left, it's going to be senior night for you. You're going to play against Ola on Tuesday. Just what are some things you want to continue to work on with your team, Coach, to strengthen, kind of holding on and kind of tune up before, obviously, playoffs start pretty soon here?
Well, just what we were talking about the lineup a minute ago, getting, gel, come together, getting confident. That's what you want going into the playoffs. You want to be healthy and confident, and any team that's confident in the playoffs is going to be hard to beat. And I think that right now, you get almost 30 games into the season, there's going to be some things that have shook your confidence at this point. And we're definitely had that going on at times in our lineup. And we just want to be, functioning at our best level, obviously, and cleaning up little bitty defensive things. But we're starting to see some of our defensive shortcomings that we had earlier in the year are starting to get cleaned up. And if you can play defense and throw strikes, whether you're hitting or not, you're going to have a chance to beat anybody. So I feel really good going forward as long as we can continue to build on that.
Yes, sir. All right, Coach, I know you got an event to go to. Got 2 more questions. I'm going to let you get out of here. One, Coach, you
good.
said at the top you kind of thought your guys overachieved last season, getting to the quarterfinals, playing, really good. So can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, okay. He
got
kind
me?
of went out. I don't know what happened. But
School Wi-Fi.
sorry, my question to that is just, obviously the goal is to win a ring and things like that. So just how do you want to, finish the season? Sorry, it's technical difficulties. Kind of threw me off track.
No. Yeah, trust me, I'm on this Wi-Fi at school, so you don't know what's going to happen anyway. It's a tough question, because obviously you want to finish it on top. You don't want to lose, but I don't think people realize how hard it is and how many things have to go your way in order to win a ring. We've been very blessed to win 3 in the last 9 seasons, and every time you look back, and it's one of the craziest things ever happened, to get you there. Like somebody booted a ball they shouldn't have, or you get a crazy home run. Just something happens, and but with that luck becomes being prepared. You just got to have them ready, and I think we've done everything we can to get us to there. I think even last year, losing that heartbreaker game 3 against Buford, which I thought could have been the state championship matchup. By the end of the year, I felt like we definitely deserved to be there. I think that it made us a little hungrier going into this year, and I think it has us again a little bit more prepared going into the playoffs. And I think it's going into it with the expectation that that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to play for a state championship, and we refuse to accept anything less.
Yes, sir. And I want you to walk me through, Coach, the program, to walk me through the culture. How is it there at Houston County? What are some things you implement or you tell your guys, okay, obviously, you got the playoff run coming up, but like after the season's over, did you guys play some travel ball, coming into next season? Like, what are you guys doing in the off-season program? Just walk me through a little bit of the culture and how the program is overall at Houston County.
Well, the first thing I let our guys know is that I love them. It's not whether they win or they lose. At the end of the day, I'm here for them, wanting them to become better men. And hopefully that does relieve some of the stress. And obviously there's a lot of expectations to win, and we put that expectation, but we make sure that first and foremost that they understand that they're the most important part of it, not the other way around. And but getting to the other thing, we stopped fighting the summer ball battle a while back. We tell our guys to go play, get exposure, go get game reps, especially guys that didn't get to play a lot during the spring. They've got to get those reps, and they want to get seen. So they go and, they play. And then when we get back in the fall, we start doing some of the 4-on-1 fundamental stuff. But at the end of the day, we let them be teenagers. I believe in work and all that other stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, we don't want to overwork them and we don't want them to not enjoy what they're doing. So we try to be really careful about how much we get after them at times in the off season with some of that baseball related stuff. When we know that for 5-6 months out of the spring, we're fixing to go really heavy.
Yes, sir, certainly. Well, I want to say thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time to do the interview. Good luck to Hoko the rest of the way. I'll definitely be watching, and hopefully I'll get you on here again soon, Coach.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, and just let me know anytime. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, guys. So that was Hoko coach Matt Hopkins. Really impressed me as well. With his interview. They got something special brewing at Hoko. Like I said, if you go to any of the major baseball sites, you go to Perfect Game, you go to Prep Baseball Report. You even go to our Score ATL rankings. Houston County is right up there at #1. So they've been performing great this year. Like I said, they played in a tough region. They went undefeated again, second straight year, 3 titles in 9 seasons. Last year, as he said, he thought they kind of, overachieved with all the inexperience they had, and they took it to, Buford. Buford ended up winning, but, they played them tough. So I think this is their title to lose out there in 6A. I think they did something special this year. They play some of the top teams, the creme de la creme. So, look out for them come postseason. They got one final game left, and that'll be it in the postseason play. But, man, it's hard to believe it's already postseason for some of these spring sports, right, Craig? It's flown, right?
And that they haven't peaked yet.
Yeah, they have not peaked. You heard that. They have not peaked. So, as well as they're playing, undefeated in the regular season, 25-4, they have not peaked yet. So, before we take another break, we're going to do some quick baseball, matchups of the week and notable players from last week, and then we'll take a break and then be on the other side and wrap with my top 10 headlines and a couple other news across the sporting world and high school sports. So, big region battle. Actually, Norfolk County is going to play Cherokee Bluff next week. This game will be for the region crown next week. I think it will be some great baseball between 2 of the top teams in the state as well in their classification, so look for them to go at it. For Cherokee Bluff, look out for Bryce England and Jacob Vokal when it comes to batting. They've been having incredible seasons this year. I will have my eye on the pitching also for Cherokee Bluff. They have 2 guys this season who have an ERA of sub-2. So look out for that next Tuesday. That would be a big region battle between those 2. And then some notable players from last week. Crawford County's Judd Puckett, third baseman and shortstop, was 9 for 12, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 9 runs. Pickens A.J. Rice, 3 for 3, 2 RBIs, 3 runs. He also is a pitcher, 7 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, and only 4 hits, 0 runs. And you had Coffey's Ben Fussell, shortstop and right-handed pitcher. He was 8 for 10, 4 RBIs, and 5 runs. So that's what I got for you guys as far as baseball. That's the matchup looking for. Those are the standouts from last week. So keep it tuned for there. We're going to take a quick break, think of our sponsor, Georgia Farm Bureau, and be back on the other side.
Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are our Farm Bureau.
All right, guys, we are back now. A lot to conclude the show for today, but we're going to get into some major games this weekend for lacrosse. Actually, Craig brought this to my attention, so I got to thank him for this. But his alma mater, Walton, is going to play North Paulding. North Paulding is 13-2. Walton is 10-6. Walton has not been in my rankings, I think maybe a couple times this season, but they haven't been there lately. They had a really tough stretch to start the season. They were 0-2, but they're playing really good right now. They're 10-6. They are 5-0 in region play. And this game between them and North Paulding Friday is going to be for the region title, essentially. Walton is 5-0, as I said. They're seeking the signature win on their resume. They've yet to really have one this season. A victory against North Paulding would certainly do that. North Paulding right now is number 2 in 7A classification on my rankings on ScoreATL.com and AJC. So they've been playing good. They have enough. They have a plethora of staple wins on their resume. That includes Stars Mill, Fellowship Christian, and North Cobb. So this is a game of epic proportions between both of these teams. I think it certainly will be one to behold. Both of them have been playing pretty decent this season, so we'll see if Walton can kind of pull that upset at home and beat North Paulding and take that region number 1 seed. That would be really interesting. Again, that game is Friday at 7:30. Keep it locked. That is what I got on the boys' side. On the girls' side, Mount Pisgah versus Collins Hill. That would be a really good game between those two. Collins Hill comes into this matchup. They suffered 2 region losses to Brookwood and Parkview, so they are not number 1 team in their region despite being a 12-2 record. They're playing a top 10 team in Mount Pisgah. It is a non-region game, but this is a good game to kind of get back on track for them, get it going. Collins Hill right now sits 4th in the region standings. So they started the season 12-0 and sit 4th. So that tells you all you need to know. They have a really big game coming up in a couple of weeks against Mountain View, a region foe, and they got a team that's on their heels. So they got to really handle their business if they want to clinch a playoff berth for Collins Hill. All right, Thursday, which is today, Mountain View is going to play Greater Atlanta Christian. Top non-region matchup for both of these teams. I think it's going to be a really good test for GAC to see where they are, right? I think it's a good resume builder for both teams. Mountain View is trying to hold on and capture a region title. 3 players on their team have accounted for 19 points this season, and Sophia Nunez, Amina Plummer, and Phoenix Wynn. 2 out of the 3 are sophomores, so they got a lot of young underclassmen stepping up for them, playing some really good lacrosse right now. A big game for them to see where they are. They have not lost since playing Brookwood on March 21st for Mountain View. So keep it locked for that one. That is another big game. And then you got number 1 Blessed Trinity versus number 3 Fellowship Christian. This is a boys matchup. This one's on my radar as well. Blessed Trinity has a lot of quality wins on their resume. I think they're one of the best teams in the state this season. They're 14-2. Their 2 losses are by a combined 2 points this year against 2 teams who have remained ranked all season long in Johns Creek and Milton. And then Blessed Trinity is currently on a 4-game winning streak. They've scored in double digits in 3 of those 4 games during the streak. Only 1 loss all year for Fellowship Christian. That was to Westminster in a 10-9 loss on March 1st. So I think this would be a good test for both of these teams. They're both playing some of the best ball, and they're top teams in Class 5A, 6A classification. All right, so now we're going to play some clips really quick. And I'll give my analysis and my thoughts, but I do want to talk about the Tip-Off Classic, and it really kind of, I don't want to say astonished, but it really surprised me, and I really enjoyed being at the event. It was this past Saturday. It's at the Swanee Sports Academy. Some of the top players in the country was there. Chase McCarty. You had Caleb Wilson in the 2025 class. You had Bryson Tiller. You had Caleb Odom. You had Christian Anderson going to Michigan from Lovett. You have Mike Matthews. You have Micah Smith, who's at Sandy Creek. You have Moses Hips, who's going to McEachern. You had a lot of players at this event. There's even more I might even name, and that's just off the top of my head that was there. Peyton Marshall for Kell. C.J. Brown for Kell. Jalen Colson for Kell. Caleb Hope, top 2026 player in Alabama. I could keep going. There's a bunch of players that was at this event. It was incredible. I enjoyed being there. It really showed me a lot of the upcoming class and kind of familiarized myself with, who's coming up next. But let's play a quick clip. Correct, whichever one you choose, either Game of Lead or whichever, Atlanta Express. But I'll talk about the clip after. Okay, so this matchup here, I'm not going to lie to y'all. It really surprised me, right? Bryson Tiller is 2025 number 1 player who's going against Micah Smith, who's a 3-star number 12 in Georgia. But there's a clip I'm going to talk about more in depth. But look at him. Look at him hawk this down. Goodness gracious. I'm hawking it down. Gracious. Nice spin move. Easy lay-in for Tiller. Good bug. Again, look at the crossover. This is McCarty right here. Good spin move. Could get it to go. Here comes the 85 right here. 85 is the Anthony Edwards AUC. You guys didn't know. And 1 on the other end. Here, right here. He played really good, too. Number 3 right there. Here we go right here. It's going to be a knockdown shot. Corner pocket. Skizat. Good shot there. That's McCarty. Sniper short in there. Okay, right here. Pause this real quick if you can, Greg. Okay, so, again, in this game, this is the number 1 2025 player against Micah Smith, who is, again, a 3-star, number 12 in the state of Georgia. I'm not going to lie to y'all, and I had Craig pause this for a reason. I want y'all to look at this clip after I say so and see how he locked him up. Now, this was apparent throughout the whole game. Now, he only scored, he plays for Overtime Elite in the league, this high school players. He only scored 8 points at this specific game. I thought Smith did a phenomenal job of just making it tough for him, locking him up, not letting him get easy shots. This play is indicative of how good he played defensively. You can roll it, Craig. There's no airspace. Had to get it out of his hands. That was all game long. No easy buckets for Tiller at all. Okay, that's just a good bucket, good shot. Way to find the open man. Good ball movement. I hear McCarty again from 3. Cyber and short in there. I mean, he's really good at shooting basketball. Right here, this is going to be a drive. This is going to be a Micah Smith dunk. Watch this. Oh! Really impressed with him, too. He really impressed me at the tournament. Nice pass from him. Hit it in the top. Good drive. Good easy lay. Nice athleticism. Here, that's an and 1 bucket. Too easy. Here, that was just athletic. Here, another and 1 bucket. Really try to ice the game for them. And then here, this is the end of the game. Try to get a shot up. So that was the first game I seen, guys. That was Atlanta Express versus AE5. There's another clip too. That's Game Elite versus Stars. So this one, before Craig puts it in, I'll kind of preview it. So the Stars have some really good players. They have Caleb Odom in there. He wasn't starting, but Caleb Wilson for Holly Innocents, right? Kid's really good, 6'10". Y'all gonna call me crazy because I said he kind of reminds me of KD. When I say that, just like with his size and his body, how he plays, how silky smooth his game is, it reminds me a lot of KD. I'm not saying he will be that, but he has some shades of that in his game. And then Game Elite just had a whole bunch of studs. Like I said, Caleb Holt. They had Peyton Marshall's a 4-star going to Auburn. They had C.J. Brown, who I think is one of the more underrated players in the state of Georgia. Very athletic. I mean, you're going to see a clip. He's going to try to dunk on somebody basically in his career. He was good. And it was just a good game between the two. It came down towards the end. I believe Game Elite ended up winning, but it was a great game from both teams. So we're going to roll it. It's going to be a nice dunk. Team. Easy money. Right here, this is Caleb Wilson right here. The one I was talking about. Okay, good dish. Here he comes. Waiting for the ball. Silky smooth jumper. Here he comes right here. Oh, foot cat. Smooth. That's going to be and 1 bucket. Here comes Holt again with the ball. Good drive. And 1 wasn't called, but way to absorb the contact. Right here, they see C.J. Brown with the ball. Surveying the defense. Here comes the screen and roll. Boom, look at this. Oh my goodness, he tried to end his life. Sheesh. Right there, that's Peyton Marshall. Easy bucket, finish with the lefty. Let's hold again with the ball. Good drive. Nice bucket. Told you. Has shades of the KD in this game, I'm telling you. This is the highly touted prospect right here, I think. And then that's Holt. There comes Marshall. Good strip there from Caleb Odom. That's hips from Makisha shooting the ball. Couldn't get it to go, but good lay-in right there. Here we go again. Back to Peyton Marshall. Got doubled a lot in this game as well. Here we go. Nice athletic bucket right there. Way to shit off the defense from C.J. Brown. Here we go. Nice screen. Here he comes. Attack downhill. Woo! From out of nowhere. That's a good block. Here we go again. Boom. Cross. Go. Ooh. Good block. That's Holt. Good block again. Sheesh. Get to the lane. Easy bucket. Nice left hand layup. Easy money. Here he goes again. Absorb the contact. That should have been a foul. That wasn't called, but that should have been a foul in my opinion. Good finish at the end. Here he comes. Nice drive. 23 was all over the place. Another block. Good secure it there. Good pursuit with the basketball. Could be a jumper. Good to go. Another shot from Holt. That was basically the game when Game Elite basically had a one that pretty much dagger there from Caleb Holt. Again, he's in Alabama, but really impressive. So, as I said, this event is really good. They call it the #1 non-live event in the country. Again, stars were there. You had Scott Henderson, the potential top 3 overall pick in the upcoming 2023 draft, was there. He has a team called Scoot. Keenan Gray, that plays for McDonough, who's going to be taking a big step forward this year, is going to probably be their main scorer. He played for that team. Like I said, you had Atlanta Celtics, Christian Anderson, love it. Going to Michigan, he plays for that team. Mike Matthews plays for that team too. The 5-star who just recently visited Clemson, he plays for that team. There's a lot of studs. They have 4-star Jakari Harris, who plays for Grayson. He plays for Atlanta Celtics as well. Josh Smith was there. I mean, there's a bunch of studs and stars out. I really enjoyed it. They're going to have another event, I believe, in July. At the same place, so I'm probably going to end up trying to go. That's really when we're slow. Hopefully that's not during our big media day event, but if it's not, I'm going to definitely try to go, and that's what I try to do, guys. Be a reporter, be a kind of a guy that goes to like big events and learn about the upcoming talent, man. That's what really is going to separate you as a journalist, on the next level, and as being in high school. Like, you got to be able to go to these events and see the upcoming talent and report on it and give your analysis. So that's what I think, one of the best events I think in the country, and it really showed me, imagine having these events. And the biggest standout really quick is just imagine having that event televised. I'll leave you there with that cliffhanger. You seen it. You saw crazy reactions. I think said a lot. He was like, woof. And I mean, like I said, you got the top tier talent going at it. Imagine having whatever you want to say, a Corky Kell, or having a major event sponsored by Score Atlanta, just televising it with the top tier teams and talent across the country. That's next level. We'll leave it there. But all right, let's keep it going. I got some more news, I believe, before I hit my top 10 and conclude the show for today. But let's see really quick. Okay, some big headlines. Again, shout out to Craig for this one. Buford head coach for their baseball team, 6th person in history to do it, 700 career wins for him. So shout out to him and their program. Big milestone, big achievement for him. And shout out to the Buford program. They're always good in pretty much any sport they do. Got some major news. 4-star former Buford interior offensive lineman, this was announced about an hour ago, Dontrell Glover, 2025 class, has committed to the University of Alabama. He will be playing for Langston Hughes this year. That was the question we posed on our show, Craig. Far as how good would their offensive line be next year, but they got a 4-star apparently in Dontrell Glover, so he's going to be on the interior offensive line. He had offers from Crimson Tide, Georgia, LSU, Miami, and abundance of others. So it'll be interesting to see how that line will look. He will be a key cog and key component of it next year for Langston Hughes program. But nonetheless, top 10 headlines for the weekend. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so Craig, you might be interested in this one, and you potentially even going. April 15th and 16th, the Rivals is going to have a free camp. A lot of players have been invited in the Georgia class. They're going to have 40-yard dash, a bunch of different various drills at Lakewood Stadium this weekend. That will be really, really intriguing. I think I'm going to try to go April 16th. I'm going to be busy on Saturday. I have an event I have to go to, but I'm going to try to go to that and see some of the top prospects, hopefully. And then number 2 was just my thoughts on the Tip-Off Classic. Again, I just kind of uttered it. Phenomenal event. I hope in the coming years, potentially, hopefully I can even influence our boss to potentially even televise or have a Corky Kell or just have an event where we just see some of the top talent in basketball. Because, as I said, and to kind of expound on that point, I think, it's really important to kind of show the talent in the state of Georgia. It's so good. We had one of the top players, obviously, in the state of Georgia in Isaiah Collier. He played really great this season. He won the Naismith Player of the Year and things like that. So I think that's important. And, putting that on full display, I think is crucial and, something that we definitely have to do, and that's one of my biggest headlines. If they can attract that, and tickets to get in were like $25, So, I mean, if we can do that and continue to, show and showcase the talent, I think, Georgia's on another level as far as a lot of their sports, So that goes to show it. But another top headline, definitely praying for him. He's a top recruit coming up in the 2025 class. His coach talked about him. We had him on our show from McEachern. He brought up his name a lot. He's really, really good. This is going to be superstar J.D. Palm. Right now, he's fighting for his health. He's dealing with a kidney disease called focal segmental glomosclerosis. I linked below on our show the GoFundMe, so definitely go help out, support, donate for him. I didn't even know he was dealing with that last year. Him to continue to play through that, I think, just shows just how his mental fortitude, his toughness. So definitely link that below if you're watching the show. Go check that out. Go tune into that. Definitely some sad news to hear, but I know he's going to recover. Praying for him and his family and wishing him all the best. And then number 4, this is a big one. I have the tweet up. Gainesville, they're going to play Coconut Creek. Very big game between these two, Georgia versus Florida. Two big-time programs. As you can see in the graphic, you got players that are playing on the NFL level, Deshaun Watson and many others. So big game between these two. I don't know the exact date. They didn't announce it on this tweet, so I don't know when the date is going to be. But, like I said, hopefully we'll get a date. But those two teams are going to play. That's going to be a big game between those two. Can't wait to see, how that shapes up. And then number 5, obviously, another tweet. This one is Tommy Lafayette. He squats 425 heading into spring practice, and we're going to show the video in just a second. But I think what's really stood out to me is that Lafayette actually played in our Georgia Elite Classic, and he was just a runner that just ran hard downhill. Had some thump with him. He attacks the defense. He's really good with the ball in his hands. But him squatting 425, I think, says a lot. And again, this Lambert team, as Craig's going to have on tomorrow on the show, it's going to be really interesting to see where they're going to be, right? They were right there last year. Again, Milton has not lost a region game in over 5 years. They were right there with them towards the end and did get into the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what steps he takes forward. He's probably going to be a key component to that Lambert offense next year. But let's show the video of him squatting 425. Hey, he's doing that. Look out. Lambert's going to be very, very interesting to see. Okay, sorry, guys. I had received a text from somebody. My bad. But number 6, as I just had their coach on, Houston County back-to-back region champions in baseball for another impressive season at 23-4 on the year. Really impressed with them. Really liked what the head coach, Matt Hopkins, had to say. Their group, I think this is their title to lose this year. They will not have to compete with Buford. Buford is in 7A this year. So probably will be Pope in there, who won the law last year. And they've won, I think, 3 of the last 4 state titles. So it'll be interesting between them and Pope. But I think this is their title to lose. They have a very impressive staff. 3 starters, as he mentioned, on the pitching. So if they're able to get some good, games from the pitchers and maybe their underclassmen to step up in a big game, I think they'll be just fine. They'll probably be there towards the end playing at Truist Park, another event that we should actually televise. Because, baseball championships in the state, those are stuff that you got to see, right? So that's what I got as far as number 6. Number 7, West Forsyth signing and commitment day is on April 19th. 23 seniors will be committing and playing on the next level, so stay tuned for that. That'll be really interesting to see where some of the seniors go as the year begins to wind down. And then number 8, North Gwinnett versus Buford. This is going to be a very, very big game, big region game for both of these. This is in lacrosse. North Gwinnett has a 1-game lead on Denmark for the 4th spot right now. Denmark versus Lambert on Friday as well. They are going to have a big game against Lambert. Lambert's number 2 right now. So if Denmark wants to get into the postseason, they're going to have to beat Lambert. If they don't, it's going to be very tough for them. So they are vying for that 4 seed with less than 2 weeks into postseason play. So that will be crucial for them. And then number 9, as we mentioned at the beginning of the week on our show, on Craig's show as well, draft for the state title. Prentice Aaron Nolan commits to Ohio State. I think it's a great move. Somehow I was able to predict it correctly. But I think, they're going to develop him into a good quarterback. And as somebody said, I think it's really interesting, the QB battles over the next coming years between Prentice Aaron Nolan and Jaden Davis for Michigan, that's going to be really, really interesting. Them two going at it. Jaden Davis is a 4-star, really highly recruited player. He landed with Jim Harbaugh, liked the relationship he built with him, felt like family. Those two going at it for that big crown between those two big rivalries in those schools. Hey, man, it doesn't get better than that. And they recently had another commit for Ohio State as well, a kid out of Texas at the linebacker position. So it's going to be interesting to see over the coming years between those two. I definitely would have my eyes locked, being able to see Prentice Aaron Nolan play in person and seeing what he becomes at Ohio State would be really intriguing. And then number 10, Blessed Trinity, versus Fellowship Christian on Friday night. Number 1 versus number 3. This is going to be on the boys' side, lacrosse. Both of those teams are really, really good. So I think that's number 10. Looking out to see, who's going to win that matchup between those two non-region foes. So that's all I got for you guys for the show today. Hope you enjoyed. That was Bluffton, South Carolina's head coach, Hayden Gregory today, and then HOCO baseball coach, Matt Hopkins. So going forward, y'all, as I said, I try to cover, mostly, every sport. Obviously, mine is a little bit different from, Craig's. Craig obviously runs a tremendous show, but I try to do, a little bit of everything, a little bit of girls, a little bit of boys, soccer, baseball, tennis, whatever. I try to cover a little bit of everything. So keep it locked. And I'm actually building a list right now, and hopefully I'm going to try to have on some more out-of-state coaches. That's the different element I'm going to definitely try to bring to the show, having some more out-of-state coaches when they play some of these teams that are in Georgia, some of the notable programs like the Valdosta State, one of the best in the country, when they play the Graysons and the Miltons and the Langston Hughes potentially and the Bufords. I'm definitely going to try to have those coaches on and learn more about their programs. That what makes the matchup even better, learning about what their program brings, what they have to offer, and we already know what our programs have to offer. So that's all I got for this week. Happy Friday Eve, and keep it locked Friday for Craig's show. He will have on Lambert's head coach. I'll be in the producer chair. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins, and we'll see you next week. Peace.